sir, and good evening everybody. MannwidaPlann here. Welcome back everybody. Finally it is time. A good few days have passed. I have had lots of work to do and we are finally ready to be able to build this bad boy, and I'm super excited about it. Hopefully you guys are too. Now could be quite cringy in points because I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I will do the absolute best that I can for you guys, and I do apologize if the camera keeps changing focus. As I mentioned in the last little snip, I am recording this on my phone, and it's about all I've got to work with at the moment, so bear with me, but once we get this thing built, it's going to be a lot better. Now, a few things I have done. I've already taken off the side panel of this unit because I have some other ideas for that in mind, which I should have ready by the time we finish the build today. But firstly, we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at the case. I need to change some fans and such things, and we'll go through that before we actually get down to the nitty-gritty of the electronics. Now, I'm not going to do a little snip in the beginning talking about the parts that I have and why I got them and what they are, because I don't really know much about what they are. But I will talk about the things that I'm building into it as we're building into it, and hopefully it will make a nice little effect for you guys. Okay, so let's have a little look at what this case has in store for us. Now this is a Thermaltake View 37, I believe it is called. Actually came with two blue glowing LED fans installed in the case as standard, and I've gone and picked up a red one to go inside of it as well. I'd like two in the front pulling air in and one at the back pulling the air out. We have a blue one here and a blue one here. I'm going to put this blue one in the front, so we've got two blue at the front, and we're going to put the red one at the back, moving it about. But one of the first things I want to do, although they say you should never do this, ah, yeah! God, that's satisfying. And now that that's done, let's have a look inside of here. So what I'll need to do is to get access to inside of here. This is sorry for the sound on this video, guys. The camera does not pick up good audio, and there's a lot of echo in this room. I do apologize, but it's all I can work with. I'm sorry about that. So as I was saying, to put the fan inside of here, we need to take off this initial front casing to be able to see it. Now, if I bring the camera around and show you guys here. So here's a little nice shot of the inside of the case. Again, the lighting is a little bit nuts. The table's white and the inside of the casing is black, so it's going to be very difficult to actually get a shot of what the inside looks like without it glowing like all holy sin. But you can see our little fan hiding down at the bottom here. We've got one at the back over there I want to put just above him. And to get this front panel off, we've got a couple of little squeezy bolts just here I found. So let's see here. If I grab my amazing long nose pliers, like so. I may not actually need these. I could probably just do it with my hand. It shouldn't be insanely tight, but these are just split pins. So if I give a squeeze here, we should get a pop. Let me try the bottom one first. There it is, a little thump, and then that one, and then we got one here. Yeah, surely enough, that is doing it. Ow. Yeah, surely enough, that's releasing the panel on this side. Now the other side, however, we can't actually get to because this metal casing is in the way. We want to get to here. We've got a couple of thumb screws just here on the bottom and here on the top. Now these ones don't actually remove, they only unscrew. They don't actually come out. So I don't want to be pulling on them too hard because they won't actually come out and I can end up breaking them. But with those out, this should, yep, there we go, slide back, oh, and then release along the way. And hello, we have some cables hiding in here as well. We found some treasure. Okay, but with that removed, I should now have access, yep, to those little squeezy bolts we found. There's one more there, one more here. Come on. Ah, there we go. Finally, we have access to behind the front of our case panel. Very nice indeed. So yeah, those little squeezy bolts, you'll probably get a bit of a better view of them just there. They're a bit tough, but a little bit of brute force endurance, and we've got it open, and I believe I haven't damaged anything. Now we have a front panel on the front of our casing here with things like a power button, a reset button, and a few USB ports and some other interface devices, which are what these cables are connected for here. They're going to have to hook up to the motherboard at some point in the future. But now I should be able to remove that fan and put it on the front here, and then install our new red fan on the back. Okay, good, let's have a look. So I should just be able to unscrew these little four. I like how they've got little rubber washers behind them to kind of reduce the amount of shake that the fan is going to make. That's pretty nice. Now, this fan that I'm about to open out of that box is actually the first thing I have opened since I have bought all of these parts, and I'm incredibly excited about it because it's been driving me absolutely insane having to go and do my work knowing that this thing is sitting here in parts and no production is being made. So I'm really excited to get this bad boy built and put together. I'm hoping that I'll be able to edit this all into one nice decent sized video for you guys, and we're going to be able to have this machine running today. It's going to be amazing. Let's see here, one more. There we are. Can hear you. Good. Now let's just double check. He comes free. He does indeed. And I've got my little cable. Excellent. There's the little guy right there. Now, I noticed there's a logo on here facing away from the casing, and I've noticed on the other side it's the same. So this sticker, I think, shows me where the air is going to be blown out. Although, I'm wondering if there's anything else on here to mark a direction of airflow. Doesn't appear to be on this one. Okay, excellent then. So him the same way around onto the front for us now. Oh, hello. What is this? Ooh! I found treasure! I think it's more screws. Ooh, we'll install the fan and then we'll have a look at this. By the way, I'm not eating Pringles. That's where I'm keeping my screws. Okay, very good. I can see here that the cables for this fan have been tucked through one of these little holes in the chassis, so I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Let's put you up this way, with the string at the front there, you can go in there, and I'll screw that bad boy down just there. Awesome. I have a problem with my plan. Okay, excellent. One extra fan on here for our intake, which is great, and it's time to open the very first box of the things that I have bought for this thing. It's going to be amazing. Again, knife for the win. We can use him to open up the packets nice and easily, hopefully without destroying anything. Let's have a little look at this. I apologise if you can hear some occasional noise in the background. The guys across the street are renovating their house, so of course, naturally they decided to do this when I start trying to record something outside of the world of the game. Let's see here. Oh, the box unfurls. Oh, hello. Well, hello there, beautiful, with the tangled cable inside of the packet. And there we are, a little Corsair red glowing fan. Looks slightly different than the other ones, which is why I wanted to put this one on the back of the case. Will be good. Will you tell me any direct idea of your air blowing directional things? Okay, I can't see any marking on the fan telling me the airflow direction, so I'm going to assume it's the same as the fans we have here. So I have the T thermal tape, the double T, on the front of this fan telling me that it pulls air in that direction, so I'm going to guess it's the same with this one, as the voltage and the details of the fan on the back appears to be where the air is going to be blowing out. So this guy is going to be installed in our case this way, so air goes in that way and out the other, I believe. If not, we'll soon find out and we can switch it. So let's put this guy up here, and around about that kind of direction, nice and high up the top, and his little cable can tuck into this little outlet here, and we can route him behind him where he needs to be, I hope. Ah! Magnetic driver for the win! Oh, balls. Okay, so far so good. We've already got our fan switched over to the front, that is our extra intake, and we've got our extra little red fan at the back here ready for our outtake. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclasp these little wires, which are going to power and control the fans. As I say, I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be hooking to our motherboard, and I'm going to unteach them so that they don't stay all spirally and curly like this and end up having to forcefully be straightened out later. Just try and teach them to stay nice and straight for me. I don't want to be forcing my cables around and ending up busting one. I'm going to feed him through the back here. I'm pretty sure our motherboard and I/O are going to fit in this little slot just here, so I don't want him to get too much in the way, but we can take care of that little part later, and these guys are already out of the way. Okay, as far as I'm aware, I think that is the case all taken care of. But I did find a box of treasure. Let's see what is contained within it, shall we? I bet it's going to be screws and other things. Oh, no, we have some cable adapters here. Okay, very nice, no idea what to do with them. A whole buttload of screws. Ah, excellent. There's hex stands in here as well, little hexagon standoffs. And a plethora of other bolts and washers and other things that I am entirely unsure as to what I need for. We'll discover the purpose for this soon enough, I'm sure. Okay, so now our case is all ready with its fans and such. Now we're ready to start having a look at our motherboard. But before we do, there are a few things that we need to take into consideration with this. Now, I've worked with electronics quite a few times in the different factory roles that I have been working with, and a few things that are definitely important to bear in mind. Now, static electricity can destroy circuitry pretty abruptly, but mostly that's when circuits are unprotected or unfinished. And a completed circuit board such as this should have static bypassing into place. But for super safety, you can never go wrong with making sure that you are earthed or grounded. And to do this, we want to touch something large and metal, which is normally why you get a static shock when you touch your car, although that's actually you shocking the car, not the car shocking you, because the electricity that you have built up is discharging quickly through into the metal of your car. Now, I don't have anything metal or large around here at all, but what we can use is our power supply. Because our power supply is going to be connected to the mains, and the mains does contain an earth socket. Now, if you're not in the UK or a country like Malta that uses a UK power setup with the 3 pins, then I'm unsure of the best way to earth yourself. But this is connected by a 3-pin connector which has an earth line, and that earth line will be connected to the chassis of this power supply. So we can have this plugged in next to us, and we can just put our hand down on that to discharge all over its beautiful self. And that should protect the circuitry from ourselves. Now again, I don't even have carpet here, so I'm not going to be generating a lot of static electricity when I'm moving around. Sorry if the light keeps changing, it's just turned to midday, so now the light is going to be all over the shop shining through a red curtain, which is going to make this even more inconsistent, which is driving me absolutely insane, by the way. But nevertheless, let's open this guy up and have a look at our power supply. So I have here a Corsair 850 watt fully modular power supply, which I will be using for this. Now, it's a little bit overkill. I don't exactly need 850 watts of power. You can find that out if you're considering making a build by checking around online and looking at your components descriptions. It will give you a rough idea of the amount of power wattage that each part will consume, and by adding all of that together, you get a rough idea of the power consumption that you're going to be using. I use an online calculator as a rough idea to estimate how much this will use with the parts that I have here, and I'm going to be looking at around about 350 watts, but the only fully modular one I could find was an 850 Corsair, but this has the 80 plus gold rating, which I wanted at least a bronze. I think they go bronze, gold, silver, platinum, but an 80 plus gold is a good power supply. You don't want to cheap out on this. If something goes wrong and this blows up, it can not only destroy your computer, but it can burn down your damn house, so you definitely don't want to be cocking around with a power supply. Let's open this guy up and have a look. Ah, okay, it opens that way. Alright, fair enough. Some more beautiful reading literature. Some more beautiful reading literature. There is our 3-prong connector. A little sticker and some cable ties, very nice. Bag of silicone, always useful. Ooh, that's cool. We've got an actual little bag by Corsair. This is going to be loud. With all of our modular cables. Oh, how pretty and amazing is that? Very, very nice. Ooh, isn't this fancy? Another lovely little Corsair velvet bag, and contained within it is our power supply unit, our PSU. Excellent, I'll put that stuff in there and the modular cables back inside the bag, as we're not going to be needing those for quite some time yet, as far as I'm aware. Let's put that out of the way. Okay. Very nice indeed. There is our little power supply here. We have a little label, silent operation at low to moderate loads. In this mode, the fan will not spin. Very nice. So it might be because we're not going to be using all 850 watts, we may not even get any noise out of our PSU, which would be nice. Let's take that little sticker off. Get rid of that guy. Excellent. I'm going to plug this guy in to the wall and have him sat next to me while I work on the motherboard, so we can just ground ourselves by placing our hand on it. Another good idea is to give our hands a very good clean so that we get off any grease or grime or bits of particulates that could potentially land on our motherboard. Probably wouldn't cause any problems, but it might decay the life expectancy of it, and will also leave a load of fingerprints on it, and I wouldn't want that. Okay, so we've cleaned up all of our hands so that they're nice and dust-free and grease-free. We've got our power supply sat next to us that is plugged into the wall. Bear in mind, it is not powered on. It is just connected, because the earth line will be connected to the chassis, and that will drain the electricity from my body. Now we are safe to actually start having a look at our motherboard here. We have here a ROG Strix ZE70-E gaming motherboard. If you guys have any idea what all of that means, then feel free to let me know, because I don't have the slightest clue. What I do know is that it's pretty, it was expensive, and it will match the CPU that I bought. Thinking of which, the CPU that I've picked for this build is the i7. Now I have here an i7-8700 Coffee Lake processor. I believe it runs at, it's actually on the box, which will help me. It's got 6 cores, hyper threading, turbo boost, all of these things that I'm not entirely sure what they are useful for. The reason I went for the i7 core is the capture software that I use, Elgato Game Capture, recommends an i5, and the laptop, which is now dead and buried, was running on an i7, only it was garbage, so I believe that this newer generation i7 will be more than powerful enough to be able to take care of it. Now, when you're picking one of these, you want to make sure that you have the correct chipset and that it will actually match with the motherboard. For example, it says down here, i7-8700 LGA1151. Now, I noticed on the website that I found to pick this, it was also called a 300 series 1151, and I double checked that this guy would be able to take that and plug into that. So this should be able to match with the processor without too much of a problem, which I'm very, very happy about. Let's have a look at what's inside of this box. I'm very excited to get into here. Okay, so we've got our hands a good clean. There's no grease or grime on them to get all over our circuit board, which is lovely. We've got our power supply here, plugged in but not powered on. We only need it connected to the mains so that the earth line is connected. So that will pull out all of our staticness. We just hold down on this puppy for a minute. I was actually wrong. The chipset is Z370 and the chipset of the actual processor is 300. So these two should talk well with each other. The 1151 actually refers to the type of socket. So sorry about that. I think I got that wrong, but I don't know a lot about this stuff, as you guys well know. Let's have a look about getting into here and seeing what's inside of it. Ooh, hello. Ooh, welcome to the Republic. What is this? Is this just boilerplate? No, I think there's something in there. Is it screws? It's probably screws. Oh. What the crap is that? I have no idea. Let's pop him down there and chuck you over here. Don't knock over your beer. If you're going to work with your motherboard, don't knock over your can of beer. Let's put him out of the way. So how do we... Oh, you do. Oh, wait a minute. Now I do know that the static bag will have a slight charge on the outside, but the inside should be pretty much neutral. But keeping it on cardboard is a good idea. Wait. Aha, documents. Documents and knowledge and information. Ooh, and stickers. And a DVD. And other amazing things. Now these handbooks we are going to need to be referring to at some point. This is going to tell us where everything connects to on here. But first we want to be looking at our processor. So let's try and close this off here. In fact, let's do it the other way. Let's actually put that back inside. And just move that out the way. Let's take this bad boy out and have a better look at you, shall we? Again, I've tried to stabilize the light as much as I can here, guys. I really have tried, but it's a little bit all over the shop in the middle of the daytime here. I know, man's got a beer in the middle of the day, daytime drinking. Can I close this box correctly? It doesn't really matter. I shouldn't be tarting around with it. Let's see here. Very carefully. I bet that rustling is incredibly loud. I am sorry. Ooh, hello beautiful. Now we can put you down on top of the box here without any real fear. It's not going to damage any of the pins on the back of the board, and it should be nice and statically neutral. So there is our motherboard looking all beautiful and wonderful in his place. Now this is where we're going to be installing our CPU, I know that much. These are going to be our RAM DIN slots. We have one 16GB card to put in there. We need to find out which slot to use. Again, reference manual. One of these we are going to be installing our graphics unit on. I believe it's the top one, but again, that could be different, so we have to refer to the manual for that. And all of these little pin connectors on the side here, I am entirely unsure as to what they do. I believe that these are our SATA ports where we'll be connecting our hard drives. This I believe to be the power in, and the rest of them we will have to reference the manual. But this is what we want to be paying attention to first, is where we install our computer chip, which is a huge amazing thing. There's a little arm thing here. I'm pretty sure if I just press down, yeah, he kind of lifts out. Oh, very nice indeed. Super beautiful. Now, this protective cover says important. Install processor first, then remove and keep the cover. Well place this cover while removing processor. Oh, sorry. Well place this cover while removing processor or returning motherboard. I think it says replace is the wording that it's supposed to use there. But nevertheless, let's have a little look-see here. Ooh, okay, super amazing. I'm going to try and get the camera as close as I can to show you guys what is actually going on in there. There we are, that's about as good of a shot as I could get. And as you see here, we have a lot of tiny, tiny, tiny little holes on here, which I am not going to touch with my magnetic screwdriver. However, on this corner just here, it is kind of cut out. All of these ones are actually cornered square to a point, and this one is kind of just chipped off a little corner, and that is going to be our locating point as to how our processor is going to be orientated, so we don't accidentally put it in upside down, which would be very, very dumb. Okay, so next let's actually take a look at our processor. We can kind of see him hanging around on the top there. Now, my job at the moment actually in Malta is I work in a factory where we make computer chips. I've only been there a little while, so I don't know a huge amount about what is happening and how it is all done, but it's very interesting work. Let's see here if I can open this guy nice and gently. This is why I should be having my knife with me, just because it would make a much smoother cut than the pointy side of a screwdriver, but you know what? It serves its purpose. There it is. Again, little bits of paper like that I don't want floating around here. I don't want them accidentally getting into the wrong spot on the motherboard. Because this little computer chip is €500. I bought it new from my local scan, which is very nice. And the motherboard itself was €300, I think. So between these two parts, I've got €750, which is almost a month's freaking wage for me here. So I don't want to be making a mistake and blowing something up, which would be terrible. And if any of these bits of random shredded paper get into the freaking port slot where I'm supposed to be installing my chip, I will be very, very peeved. Installation instructions and a 3-year warranty. Bye-bye. We will look at that later if we need to, if I can find it. Ah, hello. Ah, there's actually a cooler here. Right, how do I get this out without... Oh, there you are. Hello, beautiful. I'll try and bring this up to the camera as best I can. There is our little Intel Core i7 with a lot of very pretty little golden connectors on the bottom of him, and we don't want to be getting that wrong. Remember I said about that corner that was chipped out? I believe we orientate that little gold triangle to it to make sure that the chip is installed the correct way. That's the puppy we really, really want. Let's have a little look at what else Intel has been kind enough to provide us with. I'm hoping there is going to be some thermal paste in here because I haven't bought any separately and I'm going to need some. Let's see. If they gave me a cooler, I'm sure they've given me pre-applied thermal paste. Ah, balls. Yeah, just the standard stock cooler with some pre-applied thermal paste on the bottom, which I am not going to be needing because I have my own cooler. Okay, so quick run to the shop for me to pick up some thermal paste then. Although, before I go running off to the shop to spend some more money, why don't we take a quick look at the cooler that we actually bought for the unit, because just in case there might have been some thermal paste in here as well by the wonderful people of Cooler Master. This is a Hyper 12 Evo, it's a universal one, so it should be able to fit quite well, and it says there, support socket Intel 1151, which is what we have, and an AMD board, which is the size of the motherboard that we're using. Now I also did check on my case's instruction manual. It tells me I can support a cooling fan that is approximately 120 mil high, and the dimensions of this guy is 120, and does it say the entire height? It's only got the fan height just there. Oh, there's the dimensions. 120, 77, 158.5 mil. So that one will fit on top of the motherboard inside of the case without having any constrictions, which is really, really nice. Be a huge, huge pain in the butt if you spend money on a case and then you find out you can't fit the freaking fan inside of it and you got to go and undo all of the freaking fans you've installed and have to do it all again and buy a new case, which would be a pain in the butt. Let's have a little check out at this puppy. Okay, so I couldn't find my knife, but I found it, and now I feel better about my life. Much, much nicer. Let's have a look here. Hello, Cooler Master. Little tab here, pop the thumb in there. Okay, tiny little box. What else do we have here? Oh. Ooh, now that looks much more of a, how could you say, capable cooling unit than the little one that was supplied by Intel. That is much more my style. Looks beautiful, a little upright standing one, very happy with that. And is that thermal paste I see? What is this? Superior. I think that this is a silicon bag effect thing. It's not what we're after. What I'm hoping is that there's some thermal paste in here. Doesn't appear to be any applied to the bottom of it. And if there is, I won't have to go running to the shop to go and buy some, which would be really, really nice. Evo. Lots of instructional manuals for all of that. I'm sure that will be very important to read. Bye-bye. Warranty. Ooh, some funky scissor bracket things. Click. That's super cool and amazing. I like that. Some little rubber grommets, and yeah, surely enough, there he is. A teeny little bit of thermal paste inside of there, along with some other nuts and bolts and screws and fixings. A little sticky pad, and some more brackets. Some more plastic brackets this time. So there's actually quite a few parts for the installation of this fan onto the CPU. Gonna be a little bit tricky for me to figure out. I think it's time I had a read over the literature that I found. Okay, so after a little bit of light reading, I have a better idea of what it is I am proceeding with here and how to do it, mostly about the CPU cooler fan. Oh, and by the way, this random thing, I didn't know what it was. It's a Wi-Fi antenna, so we don't need that. We're going to be running on cable. But the first part we do need to do is to install this CPU, which I'm incredibly nervous about, as I'm sure all people are doing so. Now, I had a little bit of a look through the manual, which has its own little page about how to install the CPU using this thing, which I don't know what it is and can't really understand what this means. So we're doing it freehand. So, which means that this little thing, whatever the heck it was, holds pretty much no importance to me, as I'm pretty sure that's not the thing that it was showing me as a CPU installation tool, but nevertheless we're not going to be using that. We are going to be doing it freehand. Ready? And this bit is very, very nerve-wracking. We need to open this first. Let's not get that wrong. We definitely don't want to forget to open the little gate to place our CPU inside of it. And here is the beauty. Oh my goodness. Now this bit is very nerve-wracking. We want to be very, very careful with this little puppy not to fry it. And thinking of which, power supply unit. Get all that static out of us while we can. Again, we should be fine, but just to be super, super safe, I don't want to be having too much of an issue with blowing something up by mistake. Let's have a little look at this puppy. Oh, hello, you extremely expensive piece of thing. Thankfully, they've got these little divots either side here to be able to pick up the chip on the sides quite safely. It's actually got quite a bit of weight to it, I'm surprised. Look at that beautifulness. If the camera will focus on it. It probably won't. Very, very shiny and pretty. Alright, let's do this. And lastly, we just need to lower this little door into space. Make sure he taps underneath that little bolt screw there as we bring that down, and it'll have a little bit of force to it. Just double check, I'm absolutely certain this is exactly in home. Yeah, he is definitely happy in his place there. We'll bring that down, it'll have a little bit of force, but don't be scared, man. Don't be scared. Oh, look. And there she is. Our CPU is successfully installed. Hurrah! Okay, our CPU is safely installed. He's looking pretty awesome and happy there. Time for us to look at the cooler. Now, I had a little bit of a look across this insane amount of schematicals here, and I think think I figured out what it is I'm supposed to do now. We have this funky looking bracket that is actually going to be going on the underside of the board, which will give us the 4 mounting slots just here around the CPU to be able to be mounted on, which we're going to have to be using these little amazing guys. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, good, that should be a little bit better. You should be able to see what I'm up to now. Now, as mentioned, we've got this little funky bracket here, which is going to be mounted underneath our CPU board, I believe that way, I think. I'll have to have a little double check. I think it's more that way, on the underside of this board. And to do that, we're going to be needing some of these little hexagonal stands, which according to the instruction booklet, tells me I also have to attach these little plastic guard grommet things into here as well, kind of like that, so they sit all nice and snug, which is very pretty. Now these guys are going to go into here, on that hole, and we'll then screw into these points? Or these points? One of the two. Aha! I found the problem. I was using the wrong hex stand. This is too small. He is not going to fit. It's got to be these guys with the big long bolt nut underneath the butt. So he's going to go into there. Much snugger of a fit. There was a little pop as he went in, and now you'll sit into there. There we go, which will now allow this to sit quite snugly. That's much more what we were looking for. Much better indeed. He'll quite happily sit on there. I'm just going to leave him gently rested while I grab one of these little nuts just to turn a thread. There we go. So he's not going to be coming out of place super easily. Excellent stuff. So I'll take care of all 4 of those guys, and that should be a little support bracket for the, oh god, for the underside if it doesn't fall off and completely wreck all the computer's things underneath of it. Jesus. There we are, just loosen those off a teeny little bit so I've got room to move this guy around as I settle him down into his home, and that should put him down quite nicely. Excellent. Now I did see there was a very funky key inside of the packet. I'm just going to bring them just to a tight turn by hand first off, but we don't want to tighten them down in a circular motion because I don't want the metal to fold as it gets tightened down. So I just want to bring them to a touch, make sure that they're in place, and make sure that they're all sitting flat on this side so that none of them have been caught twisted at an angle, which will give me a huge problem tightening the rest of this part down. So yeah, inside of here we have a very interesting little turnkey, which is pretty cool. Just a screwdriver head with a socket on the back, which is super excellent. And I believe we're going to be using this just to give these a turn to a tight pinch. Where's my driver at? There he is. There we go, just a little turn. Now I want to bring it to a pinch, just like that, but not over tighten it. Magnet, screwdriver for the win. Oh yeah, you stay on the end of that. There you go. Beautiful. Now that should be nice and safe now to just put down flat without fear of anything catching the underside of the CPU. And we have ourselves the amazing little hexagonal stands. Okay, next bit is actually the risky part because we have to mount the cooler on top of here, which is going to be pretty sketchy. And so to do that, we're going to have to put the thermal paste on this bad boy. I didn't put the paste on first, which the guy told me to do because I knew I was going to be handling the board and moving it around to get these stands into place. But now that I have no worry about actually touching the unit, now we can put the thermal paste on top. So let's see here, we've got this amazingly cool, tiniest little plunger in the entire universe with Cooler Master written on it. Now I've never used this stuff before. I know we don't need to put a lot on here, just a teensy little bit. I've heard people say grain of rice or maggot or something like that, so we've got a rough idea about the size of it. It's just a little bit to go on here. I don't think we need to shake it. I think we literally pop it on. Let's try it. That's probably a bit much. Ooh, don't go mixing it around, but you know what? I'm happy with it. That should be just fine. Hopefully that's not too freaking much. It looks a bit much to me. I wonder if we could use the plunger the other way and soak some back up. What do you think? Yeah, that is going to be just fine. Not the smoothest application of thermal paste I have ever seen, but you know what? That's the first time I've ever picked it up, so I can expect just as much. But that looks like a good amount. I'm happy with that. That's not too bad at all. Now for the next amazing bit. Time to put our fan on. Come here, fan. Come here, the fan. Isn't he beautiful and amazing? Super gorgeous looking. Look at the size of that beastie. Now, we have a protective label on here, which needs to be removed. Definitely going to be an important thing. First, I'm going to get this little cable and tuck him inside of the fan so that he can stay inside of there, out of my way. That should do just fine without too much of a panic. Next, we actually need to orientate the brackets as well, because we have this funky little cross bracket that needs to sit that away in orientation, if you see what I mean. Not this away, because the bend of the arms is going to get in the way of the pipes. We want it that way. And you're going to go like this, so you're going to go like that. So if I open this guy up, is he going to sit on those stands quite snugly, or have I got it the wrong way around? Yeah, I can see that being the thing. All right, let's do it. Let us remove our protective label. It's very sticky. Beautiful. Stick that to the table so that it's out of the way. You, my friend, are going to go right here. Ready? Flatten him down like that. Make sure he's right in the center of where the CPU is going to be sitting. That looks great. Yeah, he's going to be sitting just nicely like that. Ah, what I should have done is probably put that bracket into place first, don't you think? You know what, that gave me a great example to see that I haven't put enough paste on, because that's not covered all of the CPU base, so we're actually going to put a teensy bit more on there. Oh, this is probably the most cringy part of the entire thing. Bear with me, people. Remember, I've never done this before. This is new to me. So I'm going to put a teeny bit more onto here. There we go. Hopefully I've not completely overcooked it. Now, let's actually put this into place first, shall we? So through like that. Beautiful. And open him up. And he's got a tiny little pin underneath there, if you guys can see, that should lock into place. Something along those lines. Let's bring him back upright and then put the fan back down on top of some new thermal paste, or rather more thermal paste, for all the thermal goodness. Give him a little wiggle around, and that should be him settled in his home. I really, really hope. I also have not taken the fan off, which is going to make tightening the screw underneath it very, very difficult. Gently now, there we go. That probably would have made it a lot easier to get that wire out of the way, don't you think? Alright, beautiful. Well, not incredibly beautiful, but as beautiful as I was expecting the first time ever building a PC to be. Let's nestle these guys into their home with just a turn. Aha, that's why I was having such a hard time finding the location of that. There's actually 3 individual locations for these screws. We want the one in the middle, not the one on the end. That's why I couldn't find it at home, so we've just got to give it a slight kind of push, twist and pull, and that'll move to the center pin, which is where I want it to be. Ha ha ha, we're learning things, guys. And that one too, there we go. Right, let's try this for a 15th freaking time here. We're gonna gently wiggle these guys back inside of the cooler, square them up, and now I should be able to tighten it down without a problem. Surprised with the amount of pressure that has to be applied to these little spring screws to get these dudes to mount in their home. It's a little nerve-wracking to be pressing down so hard on these dudes, but definitely will make sure that we've got good contact with our CPU. There it is. Right, they're only just biting because I want to make sure that this is nice and centered off and square. Very good, because I don't want it sitting at a dodgy angle when I actually tighten the thing down. Okay, last little bit, just tighten these bad boys in. How tight do we go? I have no idea. There we are, that's where the pinch is, that's where I want it. Okay, there it is. Yep, that's no longer rotating in the spot very freely. It's definitely attached very securely to our CPU board. Oof, a little bit terrifying that bit, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, excellent. I double checked that everything I've done has been correct, except for probably way too much thermal paste, and this is definitely tightened down correctly and well. Very happy with it, not too much of a problem here. So we're gonna go ahead and attach our fan back onto this. Again, I'm really sorry if the camera keeps changing focus with what I'm doing. I expect it to be a thing. Now this guy just clipped on, straight onto the front here. You can definitely tell that I'm new to doing this with the little mistakes that I've made, like not removing that fan in the first freaking place would probably have been a great idea. Now the port for this is actually located just here. So I want to find a way to bundle this huge bit of cable up out of the way, maybe underneath and around the unit, but not where it's going to get too hot and melt, that I'm going to be able to connect to there nice and neatly. Will be very good. Sorry, my hand's right in the way there. The pins are just there, hiding underneath. But yeah, that should work out quite well. Okay, good. Since we're only using one piece of RAM, we will be using the farthest slot here, DIMM A2, as far as the booklet says about our motherboard. So we're going to be using that guy, so no worry about the fan location. I am going to remove these stupid labels, even though they say that the warranty is voided if I remove them. Well, you know what? It's a CPU fan. If the warranty voids, I will get a new one. But these I don't want hanging around next to my CPU. They're made of plastic. If it gets super hot, I don't want melted plastic all over my motherboard, so they are going to go away. As for keeping this bundled up out of the way, I'm just going to tuck them behind the little bolt screws that we've got here, so that I can actually kind of bundle it up, not next to the cooling coil itself, but kind of just around these screws, so that it will kind of stay out of the way and not get too freaking bundled up with everything, but also keep away from the cooling unit enough not to get hot and melt. So these connectors have two little guide pins which link to the guide pins underneath here. I'm going to pop this one into this little pin pot here, which is labeled CPU fan, and there's another one next to it labeled CPU fan OPT, meaning optional, and this guy will click onto there. Beautiful! I believe we have done it! Good God, I'm sorry for the cringiness, people, but I have indeed successfully installed my Cooler Master CPU fan. Amazing! So, time for memory. Since we have it right here, here is our Vengeance LPX 16GB stick that we're going to be installing onto this little motherboard. This is the RAM slot that I'm going to be needing to use. Now we have a little look, there are actually a couple of little kind of folding arms, not on this side I don't think. I think they're only on the one side, which is here. Yeah, so we press down that little door to open him up. Let's open this guy up and have a look though. Yet another little amazing unboxing thing. Now I went for a 16GB stick because I want to upgrade with more 16GB sticks, and I don't want to get two 8s and then have to get rid of them when I go for two 16s. These are pretty costly. I think this one cost me around about €200 just for the one card, but the option of getting two 16GB was around about €400 to €500, and man ain't got that kind of money right now. This should be enough for us to be able to use and give our computer enough room to breathe while it thinks about its stuff. Pretty awesome little piece of kit. I like it. Looks beautiful and amazing. Let's see if I can actually get into here without breaking the dang thing though, because all of these plastic boxes are a little confusing as to how I'm supposed to open them. Which side do you open on? You open on that side, of course you do. Because I could totally see that. Alright, excellent. He looks pretty cool. Now again, we don't have to worry too much of the static of these guys. Let's see if I can actually get him out though. Do you want to come out? Do you want to be a part of the computer? There you go. Alright, little Corsair one. Very nice, quite happy. Now he's got his little slot. So you can see I can't actually put the RAM in that way round because there is a slot on the board and there is a slot on the motherboard just next to it. So we have to turn him around. He's going to have to settle in this way with his label facing towards the cooler, which is a bit of a shame because I thought it was beautiful and amazing. But nevertheless, let's go and line this little puppy up, and he should just press down and lock into place with any luck here. And a little bit of a press. Don't be scared, man. There it is. Nice little lock. He's not going to lift out. Yep. Definitely down flat on each side. Yep, beautiful. We have ourselves some RAM as well. The motherboard, as far as I'm aware, is now complete and ready for installation into our case. Okay, so here we are back with our case. I've put the side panel on and the front of the case back on, and I've laid it down on its side to make this bit a little bit easier. We've got this weird hanging angular bracket here, which I believe is so that we can mount our graphics card this way, facing the outside of the unit. Remember, you're actually looking down from the top of the PC from that camera angle where you are now. But I don't need this. I think you need a different cable to be able to rotate your graphics card in that manner, and I'm not going to require it. So I'm going to get rid of this guy. There we are. We can keep him for future expansions. It's highly likely we'll be able to make something beautiful and amazing out of that one day. Come here, Screw. No, you don't get to live in the case anymore. Come out. There you go. Just let it go, buddy. Things pass, times change. Alright, beautiful. So we want to mount our motherboard into this bracketing space just here, but we already have a few hex stands that have actually been installed in the unit for us, and we're not going to be using all of these. We're only going to be using a few of them. I believe we're taking these guys around the outside here. This is the tricky part, is just to find out which ones of these I'm actually going to be needing and which ones I aren't. And to do that, I'm going to lay the motherboard over and have a look which lines up and which doesn't. So here is our beautiful motherboard. I'm not installing it, I am literally just trying to see what lines up where and where I will need to have some extra screwing fun times going on here. Okay, excellent. I had a little double check, and it does appear that we pretty much want to be having all of these installed. We have lots of tiny little screws, but in here somewhere, there you are, there are some extra hexagonal stands which I want to be putting on these three, giving us all 6 to actually bolt down our motherboard safely and securely. Okay, good. Now only tightening these down to a pinch, a good pinch, but only to a pinch. We don't want to force these to overturn and end up permanently freaking stuck to the chassis, and we have to be very, very careful about screwing this guy down. I'm already worrying about the thermal paste. I feel like we put too much on, but you know what, we're going to find out when it happens. That's definitely a thing. Alright, let's make sure that before we put the board in, we put the little guide in here so that his sockets and connectors look beautiful and amazing. There was lots of other things hiding inside of the motherboard box that I didn't realize. We've got a few more cables, SATA cables they look like. That's the thing that I wanted. That's what I was originally looking for, but look at all these other things we found. There's a buttload more stickers hiding under here. There's all sorts of stuff. What is this? Oh, there was the thing for installing the CPU. That's the little installer guide. Who would have thought it? Okay, excellent. Buttloads of cables and things inside of there that I no doubt will have use for, but have no idea what to use them for. So let's get that out of the way. And set up our little I/O shield, I believe is what it is referred to as. Always handy, that knife. Never go... well, I do go places without it. I don't carry my knife around everywhere I go. Alright, excellent. Oh, it's got a spongy texture on this side. That's really nice. That's super beautiful. Now I want to make sure that I plug this in the correct way so that it's not upside down when I go to install the motherboard. And I can see that all of these little circular connectors go to the bottom. And I believe that this puppy just snaps in place using these spring clips that are on this side. So with any luck, this dude should just snap into location just underneath this fan or next to this fan, depending on your point of perspective. It might take a bit of a push, but it should lock in okay. Come on now. Don't be mean. Do what you're told. You were built for a purpose, and this is it. Fulfill your destiny. Yep, that indeed does feel very, very snug and secure. Excellent. Now I can see I've got a few metal connectors here sitting in the way, where when I go to put in the motherboard I could potentially cram these in the sockets and cause some damage. Now I'm pretty sure that I need to be bending these up and out of the way so that nothing is going to get stuck on them, because that would be a super huge, mega terrible disaster. Let's just lift them up a little bit, and we can still use them to guide our location for where our motherboard is sitting. Let's keep that cable nice and up and out of the way. Alright, big moment of truth as we install our motherboard into our amazing computer goodness. Let's see if we can do this without busting anything and lining everything up nicely and neatly. I'll look down here through the I/O, make sure that I'm not getting anything jammed as I'm trying to set things into place here. It looks good to me. Trying not to pick it up by the cooler if I can help it. Very gently, in you go, girl. Okay, good. Took a little realignment and making sure those pins were nice and out of the way. But that is indeed her. Lined up onto her position. We have done it. We have placed the motherboard into its locale. Now, it's just a case of securing it down in the correct placing. Beautiful. Let's grab the screws. Now I did see that with the motherboard came this bag, which has this little buzzer sounder inside of it, which we're definitely going to be needing. I have no idea where to put it though. But also these rather interesting looking little washers, which I'm going to be using here, and I believe they are to reduce the amount of shake that could potentially be getting its way to the CPU, so I'll definitely use those guys as well. Alright, there we are. I found all of the screws at home. Now I'm just going to tighten them down a little bit. So I'll screw that one, screw this one, and then screw you, and then screw this one, and then I'm going to screw this one while the other two watch. Yeah, and they're all brought to a nice tight pinch. I'll double check them all, make sure that none of them are too tight, and that they're all got a nice little grip to them. Alright, I believe that is it. Fantastic, our motherboard is successfully installed. I'm still worrying about the amount of thermal paste I've put on this, but I think we're going to be okay. Okay, excellent. All in place, and it hasn't fallen out and landed on the floor in a big heap of sadness and misery, which is great. That's definitely a good thing for us. Now, I've stood the unit up and I've taken off the back panel because we now have cables from the two front fans for the rear fan and also all of this front panel connection to be connected up to the motherboard. But first we need to find out where we're going to put them. Okay, after a little bit of light reading, I found I have a chassis fan connector just here underneath this conglomeration of I/O, which I've wired the cable along here quite nicely. As for the front fans, I've decided to connect one of them to the chassis fan port just here with a little push. You should get a little click. Oh, no click? No? You in? Oh, he's definitely in and home. That's good. Now, sadly, I don't seem to have more than 2 chassis fan connectors on this motherboard, which is a bit of a pain. However, what I do have is an M2 fan slot here, which should work just as well. We'll be running at full speed, I think, and we could potentially change that up by getting some expansions or adapters a little bit later down the line, but the M2 one, I believe it's this one, should say just underneath M2, yeah, that's him, he can go in right there, and that will be our second fan in. That will do quite nicely. Okay, we got this big chunky guy who's labeled up USB 3.0, and he is going to live in this slot just here. Now you can see there's a tiny little notch cut out here, and we have a notch on the back of this guy. Pretty straightforward. He is going to turn himself around like this, not super tight because I like to keep my cables nice and loosey-goosey, and you're going to squeeze into there. Nice and gentle. Don't break any pins, man. Don't break any pins. Wow, that's a tight fit. We also have this guy who is just as kindly labeled up as USB. Now we have 2 USB 2.0 slots, which are going to be these guys here. And you can see it's almost 10 connectors, but it's missing one of them. And so is this guy. Would you look at that? So he's going to turn himself around in this really kind of direction, and I'm going to squirt him in the first one. This one, that one, this one, I don't know, this one will do. I have no idea. The book didn't tell me there's anyone in particular, so okay, in you go. In, don't knock the camera, man. In you go. Do it. Do it. There it is. And just next to us right here we have ourselves an audio, which is for the HD audio inlets on the front of the case as well. Again, you can kind of tell it's very, very dark inside the case, so I'm sorry, I'll try and do something about that in the editing, but it's missing one pin that happens to line up with those beautiful dudes right there. So this guy as well is going to get a little bit of slack, loop himself around there with his HD audio goodness sign. I think that's the right way around. It sure is, and he is going to squirt on there. Again, not breaking any pins. Wiggle him in until he gets his bite and then drive him home. Get in there, buddy. I believe in you. Alright, we also have a set of pin connectors just along here. Now this one was a little bit daunting because we have a ribbon cable here, and on the end is labeled up our hard drive LED, our power LED, our power LED negative line, the reset button, and the power switch. And all of these guys are going to connect to a few of these pins to line up. Now I've actually got the book next to me because there is no freaking way I was going to remember each and every one of these guys' orientation while I was actually making the little video with you dudes, so I decided that I would just keep it on here. Now let's see, we have the hard drive LED is going to be the bottom left 2 pins. Where are you, hard drive LED? There you are. Do you tell me which way is positive and negative? You sure do here. There goes the book. Okay, that's better. The book is back where it belongs. Power drive LED. Positive is this guy on the top right here, and I would like him to be the one furthest to the left. So this little guy is going to connect to those two little pins. Sorry if this is hard to see, guys. It's very hard for me to see as well. Awfully dark inside the case. There we are. Beautiful. The next one we have in line is a power LED, positive and negative. And those guys are going to go just above him, actually, in exactly the same spot as his body pal, but they're not one thing, they're two, which I don't understand why. So I have to very carefully, is this the positive one? Oh yeah, you're the positive one, so you're going to go on that pin connected just there. Do it. Do it. Do it. He's done it. And this would be the negative. Double check, yep, definitely a thing. Alright, so you can go into that one next to him just there. Man, this is fiddly. I'm guessing it's not put into one solid connector because the location of these can vary from motherboard to motherboard. I'm guessing that's going to be a thing. There he is. Positive and negative of the power LED is indeed connected. Now when we turn the power on, we will be able to know. Except for obviously the fact that it's not exploded, which is also great. So we have a reset switch and a power switch. So it looks like the reset switch is going to sit right next to the hard drive light, although there are 4 connectors available there. This only requires 2. I did see it's got on the little booklet on my motherboard manual, it's got a positive and negative and an NC, meaning no connection. So this guy can just sit right next to his body pal just there. My God, this is fiddly. You're probably spending the entire time just looking at my thumbs because I can't really show you guys exactly what I'm up to here because it's tiny, but trust me, it's a huge pain in the balls. There we are, there's those two, and the power switch is going to sit right above it next to the power LED. Who would have thought it? That's an amazing idea. Now again, these are just switches, so the positive and negative aren't really going to matter. They're just going to be used to break a circuit to tell the motherboard to turn on. Interesting one about a power switch, actually, while we're here as well, the symbol for power that you find on your remote controls and your power buttons and such like that actually is broken down from binary, being a 0 and a 1, which is what binary means. It is the location of all the switches on the CPU, whether it's turned on or turned off at any given moment. So there's a little random factoid to you, and we've done it! We have located the power switch as well, without breaking any pins so far. So with all of the connectors from the fans and the front panel wired in, this is what we have so far, and I don't like it. It's garbage. I'm going to try to tidy it up, but I'm not going to worry too much because we're going to be doing cable management once we finally got everything built. Yeah, okay, a tiny bit better. I've used the little twisty ties as kind of temporary cable ties to kind of pin everything down and get a rough idea where I'm going to run the rest of the cables, but it'll do for now. Okay, so far so good. Well, except for the thermal paste and the fact that I didn't know where to put the extra fan, but the M2 shot slot should work okay. I'll probably run full speed, but it'll be fine. Shouldn't be a huge problem. Now, graphics card. Now, this one I was kind of interested in. I figured I needed to get a graphics card because I'm going to be doing a lot of video processing and rendering. It's not the most amazing one on the market, but it is a good price that I found. €220, I think this was. For a 4GB card. This is the GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. Very nice looking thing, although I wouldn't know because I haven't opened it yet, but let's fix that straight away. I have opened so many new and shiny things today. It has been absolutely amazing. Again, I apologize again for the light and for the echo that is of my voice because of this room. It's actually getting quite late in the day. I've been at this quite a while. It takes a bit of extra time while you're making all the video parts for it as well. Ooh, I'm gonna bring you guys over to have a look at this. So here it is, just opened the box, it's nice and beautiful. Ignore the shadow of my head bouncing around on top of it. As I said, the light's starting to fade now. Thank you for choosing a MSI product. Register code I may consider. That's pretty amazing. Look at this. Ooh. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't have to be statically safe with this dude. Normally when you see a hole in something like this, it means you've got to hook it and pull it up. There's nothing in there. It's trapped, it's a dirty trick. That has its very own foam, which is awesome. Ooh. Ooh, more things. Graphics card, quick user's guide, and what is this? Download latest version. NVIDIA something. That looks like software. That does look like software. We're probably going to need that. I'll try not to lose it. A user guide. Okay. I'll have a look at that too, if I need to. Now I'm pretty sure these things are pretty much plug and play as far as their installation goes, that we should just pretty much need to plug him in, and that's about it. Rounding foam block, perfect. This actually looks a lot nicer than I was expecting it to as well. Ooh, never looked at a graphics card behind. Conductive bag, it is indeed static safe. Where's the power supply at? I need to disperse myself all over it again. Really quite taped. Really quite taped. Don't really want to bring the knife this close to electronics to open a piece of damn sellotape if I can help it. Feels like it will be a bad idea. Let's have a look at this guy very carefully so that I don't fry anything. Let's just hold it by his I/O. Come here, you. Come here, you. I want to look at your beautifulness. Ooh, it's like a little spaceship. Alright, super awesome. Check you out with your little cooling fans and things going on. Alright, super beautiful. Now, as far as I can tell, this guy needs to be slotted into the motherboard inside of there, which means sadly this amazing beautifulness is going to be upside down because it'll hook in that way. Although, this on the I/O shield here, I feel should be connected that way. But that's not going to be a thing. Is this meant to be so that I could connect it down that way using that funky bracket thing? I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have a look at it. Awesome looking piece of kit though. Okay, so after consulting my user manual yet again, I managed to figure out that it requires the PCI 16 slot, of which I only have one, which is this guy right here. So it's the same kind of idea as the RAM. We've got to click down the little door bit there, and these panels here need to be removed. Now, I can tell from the card, if I show you guys quickly, hopefully it won't completely blur out the ring right in front, that there are two little notches here, which means we're going to have to remove two of these little doorways to be able to fit this bad boy in here. Sadly, it means it's going to be turned upside down because I really quite like the look of it. I'll have to see about getting one of those extension ribbon cables to come off and to here and mounting it sideways so it looks all pretty and fancy. But until then, it shall function just nevertheless the same. This is a thumb screw. Freaking Hulk thumb screw. Yeah. All the screwing for man today. That should have relinquished them from their homes, as to which they were very, very adamant to stay inside. I'm going to steady it just in case. See? Just in case it freaking comes off. And drops down on the motherboard and damages garbage. You know what, let's just keep that out of the way. I don't want it falling down and busting something, knowing my luck. Alright, there's those little doorway things out of the way and off. Alright, beautiful. Now I believe this installs just the same way as our memory did. However, this does have a little protective plastic onto it, which is very nice. So let's get a hold of this guy here and very gently attempt to remove this. And yet, surely enough, we've got one little notch here and a full ribbon, and then another little notch here with no gold contacts on that one, so that's nice. Now I'm pretty sure this guy is just going to slot dead straight down right into that bit, which I really cannot see from this angle, and I doubt you guys can as well. Let me lower my brain place down and see if I can find a home for this bad boy. Just to be safe, let's remove another one of the little guard panels there so that he is out of the way and free. The card seems slightly off angle to me. If you see what I mean by the angle of this, is slightly twisted in. So it's almost as if it needs to be lifted up a little bit, which is a little bit disconcerting. Let's just try and get him behind the board with those two little feet, and then make sure he settles into his locale safely. Oh god, oh god. Okay, I think I've got it. Oh yeah, I think I've got it. Oh yeah, there we go. And now, same as the RAM, just a good press down. I hope, beyond all hope, that I'm not about to smash not a motherboard, a graphics card. Well, hopefully not a motherboard and a graphics card. That would be much, much worse. Oh baby, that was quite a thump. Okay, I believe we can breathe. Yes, the little door has indeed closed. We have successfully managed to install a graphics card as well. That was very disconcerting too, but we've nailed it. Amazing. Let's get a little thumb screw again tighten this bad boy back down so that he's there. Oh, I can see the hole. Never been very good at finding the hole. Okay, that went pretty well too. Starting to come together quite nice. It's a shame we can't see the beautiful black and white of that graphics card, but we'll do something about that in the future. Now, I did also pick up this little network card, TP-Link, and I was kind of thinking I'm not sure I actually need it, but actually upon reading the box it does say that it makes things run faster through networks rather than using the standard one that's built into my motherboard. So you know what, we'll give it a go, and if it doesn't really seem to do much we can always take it out. I've got it here, so we'll go ahead and have a little look-see at it. I think this is nothing too amazingly super cool and special. Yeah, surely enough, it just comes in a little static bag, and oh, more things. Oh my dear lord. This is the tiniest little CD in the universe. I don't even know what to do with this. A tiny little CD for a tiny little card. Maybe it's got a tiny little driver inside of it as well. Quick installation guide is all the same, and yeah, let's see if we can pop this guy into. Okay, so here's the little doohickey right here, literally just a network port on front of him, but you know what, we'll give it a go, why wouldn't we? It might work out in our favour. Now the slot for this guy is actually inside of here, behind my graphics card. Now I don't know if it's going to make a difference if I put it into some of the other slots that are lower behind the graphics card, but then it'll be directly in front of the fan that is on the graphics card, so I think it's better to actually put it inside of these ones and actually build it straight in. So we've got the other little thumb screw here, same little thing that we did before, loosen that properly, take him back off because we actually have something to live inside of here. I'm a bit worried about having all of this tech crammed into one tiny little corner on top of my motherboard. I'm not exactly super happy about it. I'd much rather be able to utilize a bit more room in the case, but I don't want to put this in front of the fan that is running the graphics unit either. So again, I doubt you guys are going to be able to see this, but hopefully I'm going to be able to just slot this guy in here. He doesn't have one of those little locking pins that the memory did or anything like that. Trying not to put my head in the way so that I can see what's going on here too. There he is, he just slots in like that. Alright, super beautiful. Let's pop that little dumb screw back, because they're super dumb. Alright, super sweet. Those are the last of the circuitry electronics to go on the motherboard that we actually had to install. We're actually getting close to an end point here. As you can tell, the lighting has hugely changed. I've been at it quite a while building this thing up, and obviously making the videos with you guys in between. Next one I want to be looking at is some hard drives. I have two here. I have ourselves a 250 gigabyte solid state hard drive, which we'll be putting our operating system on for faster access, and I may see about actually putting things like my capture software and my editing software onto this as well, so it runs a bit quicker when we try to use it. And then we have a hard disk drive, not a solid state drive, that we'll be using for all of our storage. 2 terabyte here is more than enough that I'll be needing, because this machine will only be recording and rendering the videos that I produce, and then they will be transferred to the crap top, the first laptop that was a bit garbage and couldn't run the software that I wanted, and that one will then do the uploading and such. I don't even know, well, it will be connected to the internet because we need to live stream, but that's the only purpose this one goes online. So let's have a little look-see here. We'll start with the solid state. Now we have these awesome little hard drive bays, which I feel like we should use because they're there and they're awesome. I don't like how it's right in front of the fan, and I considered moving one of the fans up here. But warm air rises, so I kind of want to put the cold air straight through here and let it blow up and move through. It's kind of a classic computer design that is quite recommended to be used, and we'll see how well that works out for us. How do I get into this? With my knife, of course. That's how I get into all of my electronics. Best way to do it, so long as you don't be an idiot and penetrate all of your devices. Alright, let's have a look here. I don't think I've actually ever seen a solid state drive. I don't actually know what they do. Ooh! Look at him. He's teeny. It's a teeny little thing. Come here, you. At least we don't have to be worrying about caressing the power supply to remove our static load. So there's our connectors there. We've got the SATA data cable, and we'll also have a power connector on there as well. This dude, I'm pretty sure, just screws in directly to this, as far as I'm aware. Just like that. Where the hell did I put the screws? Okay, for the hard drive disk, now these guys actually have a spinning drive, a spinning disk inside of them. So this guy's going to shake around and vibrate a lot while he's doing his thing. So if I set him into here, I want to use some of these little rubber screw doohickeys. Now I don't really want to put it on the outside. What I would like to do is put it between the case and the mount so that it won't vibrate too much on here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Oh my god, so many screws to choose from. My magnetic screwdriver is now becoming a pain because it picks up like 5 at a time. There we go. Alright, nice and tight. This guy. There we go. Now of course we make sure that we put the ports at the back. And because it's heavier than the last, in the bottom tray you go. Okay, so our hard drives have been given a home, which is super cool and amazing. Now we're going to need to connect some data cables to those guys, and inside of the motherboard's packet I found this. Teeny tiny little wire. Which turns out to be a thermostatic sensor, which we're going to want to put inside of here to monitor the temperature of our amazing tech and make sure nothing goes kablooey. Now, this guy has a very, very teeny tiny little port, which you probably can't see, but it's right there, tiny little 2-pin connector. I can't see a positive or a negative. Oh wait, I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a teeny little, go on, focus, teeny little arrow. That arrow is going to mark the positive line. Now, which one of these is the positive line is a very good question. I'll put my head in the way while I'm looking for it. Another manual check tells me that it is the one on the left. So this little bad boy is going to go on like so. Boom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this guy. I'm going to kind of go here around the thumb screws and then onto the fan, and I'm going to try and let it dangle just underneath the fan. You guys won't be able to see that because my hand's gone too high. There it is. Just dangle underneath the fan so it sits around about here, just above the graphics card, underneath the CPU cooler. Kind of get an idea of the temperature roughly around about central of the motherboard, I think will be a good idea. Just around about like that. You can see the dude just there. Okay, SATA data time. We've got a couple of SATA cables here that came with the motherboard. Super amazingness. We are going to use these to connect our hard drives up to talk to the motherboard for all of our amazing things we need them to do. We get one at a right angle and one that's straight, which is really, really nice. I kind of like to use the double straight end if I at all can. Now we've got 6 SATA ports, 1, 2, and 3, and there's 2 in each. So 2, 4, and 6. And this is number 1. So we've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Now I want to be using both of these connections, one for the solid state, one for the hard drive. So we'll go ahead and pop these dudes in. Actually, let's take off our side panel again so that we can penetrate through and emerge the cables of SATA into the motherboard place of amazingness. Now these guys have a little kind of L bracket shape to them, which is pretty straightforward if you can see where the crap SATA port is. So let's go ahead here. Now the top one is 1 and the bottom one is 2. Oh god, I'm gonna get mixed up here, I can tell. So let's go ahead for you to go in the bottom one because it's gonna be easiest to plug in. Let's try and do this without breaking anything. Is this even the right way? How do we know? We know because we can look at the plug, but we can't see the freaking plug because it's already built in the case. And I can't remember what it looks like because my memory is goddamn atrocious. Are you going that way? You go. Turn you the other way up and just see if it works, shall we? Maybe it actually does go in this way instead. And we won't be able to tell because we can't see anything. Oh, that's the number. That's the baby right there. So I'm going to lift that out of the way and pop it through here. And then when I connect this one, I'm going to lift it up and I'll put it through the top slot. So I know that this cable is connected to the top slot and the other one's connected to the bottom slot. Little click. There she goes. And this one here is connected to the top slot. Perfect. So we've got our 2 drives, our big old HDD and our tiny little SDD, and we're going to have to hook these guys up. Now I'd like this one to be connected to port 1. Which, after referencing my manual once more, I know to be the top wire. So this guy here, I am going to want to poke through and reveal its beautifulness. You're in the way, get out the way, you're tangled up with the other one, you shouldn't do that. And you are just going to connect to the same SATA port just there. Click. Perfect. And you can go back in there for the time being. We'll bring you out again when it's time to install your power line from the power unit, which is going to be next, and then I think we're getting close to done. Same idea with HDD. Let's pull this guy out if he wants to come out because he's a big chunky old dude, he doesn't like moving around much. I can relate to him. There we go, get that guy, and he's going to pop into that one just there. SATA data is connected. Our motherboard may now communicate with our storage devices. And let me get the freaking thing back inside of its bay. Get in there, dude. Perfect. One more thing, and I believe that's it. Now it's time for the power supply unit, who's been sitting in the corner, plugged in, ready to go this entire time. Okay, so here we are. I'm pretty sure I'm on camera here, but I might be a little bit cut off or on the top maybe. I'm not entirely sure. If I kind of cram my head down here, you might be able to see me. So we've got the Corsair power supply, the 850 watt fully modular, and his bag of all the cables, which I have no idea what they are. And we want to put this guy inside of the unit. Now I am fairly sure, not entirely sure, but I am fairly sure that this guy actually lives with his fan facing downwards, so that he can pull air in through the bottom and out through the back, rather than pulling warm air in through here. Or it might be the other way, it's pulling in through here and out through the fan. But either way, we don't want that fan facing the inside. Either it's going to pull in warm air and it's going to get even warmer, or it's going to eject warm air, which is going to make everything else one hell of a lot hotter. So this guy is going to be going in this way. Now, all of these cables and such, I'm not entirely sure which ones we're going to need, so we're going to kind of go across them one at a time, and we'll install them as we come to it, because I don't want to put a load in and then have to take them out. They're pretty nice and easy access kind of nodules there, so it shouldn't be a huge worry, although really I should take a look at what I actually need first. Okay, after more freaking reading, I'll find out what all of this stuff is. This is our main 24-pin connector. This is going to be giving power to the motherboard. That's the one we really want. These are our SATA cables. These guys have 3 connectors on the end, this one has 4, so we're definitely going to be needing those. I have no idea what these guys are. These were labeled up as a peripheral cable, and there's an adapter here, which seems to fit them. I have no idea what I need those guys for. These ones are a little bit curious-ing. They are referred to in the manual as EPS/ATX 12 volt. But it's got CPU labelled on the side, which makes me slightly nervous that I might be needing one of those. And these are the PCIe power cables as well, which we won't be needing because the only PCIe thing we have is the graphics card, and that's pulling power from the motherboard. So all we need is one of these and one of these, and the rest can go back in the frickin' bag. Okay, with that figured out, it's time to actually install this bad boy. He's going to be sitting inside of this part here. We have a couple of foam wedges to keep him from shaking himself crazy. And as I said earlier, I believe that this guy is going to go in upside down. Surprisingly, the manual didn't tell me anything in the way of actual physical installation of this. It just said safety measures and such of the likes. But surprisingly, nothing about putting it upside down. So there's no kind of bracket or frame to go on with this one either. He literally just sits in the screws in directly, which is pretty cool. We've got a couple of tiny little screws here, actually labelled for PSU, which is really nice because they look very similar to all of the other screws that I have inside of my Pringles pot, which is super pretty cool, and I haven't actually used them all, which makes me incredibly nervous. But these guys will just screw into here. Now I'll just do a couple of turns to secure it in place, so I'm not going to have a problem finding the hole again, because I get very tired of having that issue in my life. I've got you inside of the last spot. Are you gonna? You want to go in here? Oh, you want to go in there? All right, buddy, you can go in there. There we are, and now we'll start to tighten them down. Beautiful. And the last bit to do is to get these guys hooked up with some power, and we might actually get done. I've said before, I spent a bit of time working on this today. Because of making recordings of everything, and mostly really to be figuring out what the crap I'm doing and how to do it. I have watched a couple of videos and guides, but as soon as you start building one yourself, it looks completely different, and obviously I'm not using the same actual components, and my memory is appalling, so that's definitely a contributing factor as well. But nevertheless, I feel like we've managed to do pretty well for the first time ever building one of these things. I'm pretty happy about it. So that should be... Ooh, starting to heavy now. That should be our power supply unit in and stable. Very nice indeed. Probably should have plugged these in first. Ooh. Get that big old bad boy into that 24-pin connector slot. Wait. Let's try this one. This 24-pin connector bad boy will sit, I'm trying to do it without getting my arm completely in the way of what I'm doing here, inside of here. Oh baby, click, click. Oh, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to click. No, you're not supposed to click? You got a little hooky arm bit going on there. Ah, there you go. Make sure he's definitely home. We don't want slightly unconnected power supplies. There we go. And I believe his little companion friend is going to sit next to him in this little slot here. There it is. Definitely safe and home. There you go, little buddy. Let's get him hanging out in here, and you're going to be collecting on any one of these guys, peripheral and SATA. We'll go for this one, since it's the closest here. And surprisingly, although there is a giant bag of cables, that appears to be all the cables I actually require to power up my PC, which is a little bit worrying. I hope I haven't missed anything. Again, this SATA cable actually has multiple connectors, so I should be able to hook up both of these drives using the one cable, which would be pretty nice. Let's see what we can do. Oh yeah, that's quite a tight fit. Look at the chunkiness of that cable. That's awesome and amazing. So this is our port for the CPU. The CPU for the motherboard, he's going to be going onto here, and that's the little pin that will lock on that side. So I want to kind of teach him as much as I can to connect to that part without constantly trying to pull back. Oh, there's a bit that attaches to the side of it. Oh god, don't pull it off, man. Oh god, oh god. Let's see if we can get him to settle into place. Always teach your cables, guys. Always just you know, coax them in, settle them in a bit, make them comfortable in their new home, because they're going to stay there a while, we hope, and hopefully not cause any huge problems. Here we go. Oof, that one's a bit tight too. There it is. Oof, quite a thump on that bad boy, and we'll probably leave him around about there. Big chunky bad boy. So here we are at the back of our case, ready to connect our little power lines for our hard drives. It's getting a bit of a mess behind here, I must admit, but we're going to take care of that soon enough. Don't you guys worry. I freaking hate cables being all over the place, so this is driving me absolutely insane already. But let's focus more on where we're actually going with these. So we've got a drive in the third bay at the bottom, we've got a drive at the top bay here, so I'm going to use this one and the top one and leave the middle one free for potentially another drive in the future. How I'm going to be able to connect these guys and maybe even pull them out at some point is a little bit coincidental, but let's just see if he will just go in there as he stands. I mean, the drive is screwed in, so yep. Yeah, that's definitely home free. Now, let's see here. This was a fan power cable, so you can stay there. Yeah, you look happy there. We're going to poke this guy through here just to keep him out of the way, because he can sit inside of that drive with nothing connected to him. I'm pretty sure we don't have to use these in any kind of sequence. If we do, the manual didn't tell me. And then we've got a third one, which I'm going to try to connect to our SSD. Just trying to give him a bit of a one-handed bending. Little one-hander bender going on around there, and get him to connect in there. Go on, you know you want to. It's a drive, it's your new home. Aren't you happy? It doesn't feel like it's happy, and I don't want to be standing in at an angle. No. Yep. Oh, maybe the other one wasn't all the way. Oh no, the other one wasn't all the way in. He came out, he doesn't want to live there anymore. Oh, the cable management is real. Get in there. There you go, that's got to be you in there. Now, we don't really want these guys accidentally disconnecting themselves while power is on. That would be potentially quite catastrophic, I feel. There we go, yeah, get those guys in there. Yeah, good. All right, beautiful. So that is all of our power lines hooked up and connected. Now I think the last thing to do is to fix this conglomeration of cable that is going on here. I missed one. had a feeling that something was wrong. I was just double checking over everything after doing the cable organization at the back. And you remember that cable with CPU written on it that I found that I thought might be very important? Yeah, it's pretty important. Turns out we actually need that. So I'm going to go ahead and wire that one in too. Oh, make way! Make way! Forgotten cable coming through. And this dude is going to be connecting to this pin right here. So again, if we teach him nice and rough, not a lot of room on that one actually, I must admit. Let's try and teach him around nice and tightly to get his butt into his new home at the top here. I believe that this is going to actually power the processor. Surprising that, considering it had CPU written on it. That's it, get in there you. There you go, that is a very, very tight fit. Very tight fit. But it's in, it's stable, and I don't need the cable tie in the back. And there it is. We have indeed covered everything. I sadly am not going to have time to power this on right now. I've got to wait until my next day off as I'm all out of time for working on this today. Girlfriend's on her way home, time to make dinner and all those other things, and it's straight back to work for me first thing in the morning. But fear not, I'll bring you guys back when we have finally finished this up, and I need a little bit more time to work on the cover glass. Oh, she's got quite a bit of weight with all of her internals inside. Snug her back to the TV there. She hangs off the table a little bit, but you know what? I'm kind of happy with it. The other side would have been a little bit more difficult with the power buttons on this side and cables dangling around next to me. It would have drove me insane. So that looks a lot nicer there. Yeah, quite happy with that. That should do us quite well. Let me connect the power supply and we'll see what happens. Okay, power supply in. Ooh! Oh, the motherboard has a little glowy bit. Ah, it changes colour and everything. It's super beautiful. Ooh, mesmerizing. I had no freaking idea that was a thing. I had no freaking idea that was a thing. That's awesome and cool. Alright, I super love it. Alright, moment of truth. You ready? Please don't blow up, 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 please don't blow up. Oh! Oh, the front fans are glowing blue. Oh, the back fans are glowing red. Are you a happy computer? Oh, it's a happy computer. Okay, no flames, no smoke, no explosions, no destruction, no sadness. I'm happy here, it's amazing. It looks super cool already. I turned the light on because it's very dark in this office. I didn't think you guys would be able to see very well. Oh, super awesomeness, super awesomeness. Right, for the last little touch, I want to show you guys what I did with the side case. I was doing a little bit of work on that. I think it's come out pretty awesome. I'll show you guys that in a sec. Alright, there it is. La 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 la. Yeah, amazing, super cool. So yeah, I wanted to do a little bit on this, and I was waiting for some paint to dry and such yesterday, so it was the perfect time to just kind of call it and wait to actually put it in, plug it in, and show you guys what happened, because then the case would have been ready as well. So we etched out this little patterning on the side here. I did this side and my girlfriend did this side with the butterflies and flowers, so of course, naturally. But I was going to use my rotary engraving tool, but then we found if we just pressed hard enough with a sharp pencil, we could take the paint off of the back side of the glass, so that was absolutely perfect. And then a lick of red paint over the top. Nailed it, looked beautiful, and of course I just cut out my little MWP logo out of a, almost like a dinner mat kind of thing with a nice texture, woody kind of texture that I liked. Oh, I love it. I am very, very happy with that. Hopefully it looks awesome. I really, really like the color fans and things like that. I've never had a PC, so this is literally the first build. I'll come and crouch down on a knee while I have a chat with you guys about the last bits. But yeah, it's been quite fun. I really, really enjoyed that. There was a lot to learn, a lot of reading involved. I'm sorry for the cringy parts that would have happened. I guarantee there would have been quite a lot of cringiness in there. And again, I am sorry for the quality of the audio and the lighting during this little adventure that I've been recording on my phone. I'm definitely going to be investing next into a better actual kind of camera, like a decent camera, But that has been a great adventure. I really enjoyed doing that. I cannot wait to get this thing set up. We have to hook it up to the TV, we've got to go through the BIOS, we've got to install our Windows, we've got to install our software, all our programs, and I'm not going to go through that with you guys on the camera. I think it's been cringy enough watching me build it, let alone recording me reading a manual to figure out what the crap BIOS is. I didn't even know what BIOS was, so that's going to be quite an adventure to get set up. Hopefully we'll get it up and running soon, we can get back to the regular scheduled stuff on the channel. By the time you guys see this video, it will have been rendered and edited using this machine, so everything will be up and running again from that point. Thanks for joining everybody. Thank you very much for your patience over the last couple of weeks while I've been working on this and trying to get everything back on the channel running smoothly again. It's been a great adventure. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, do me a favor, hit the like button. Any suggestions of things I've done terribly wrong, drop them in the comments box below, let me know about it. It's going to be hilarious. And until next time everybody, I'll see you all again soon, and the next video is coming to the channel very soon. It's been so long, I can't wait. Take care everybody, all the best. I'll catch you later.